Poppin' B. Purpok here, and welcome back to another episode of Race the Ramen, the show where I attempt to review something unscripted and the amount of time it takes to boil an instant ramen. And today we'll be taking a look at Crow Country, available now on Xbox consoles, PlayStation consoles, and Steam. Alright, we're going to start the timer right now. If the timer wants to work. This thing's a piece of crap. Now. Okay. So, Crow Country. This is a little indie survival horror game that came out last month. And in case you weren't really paying attention, May was a really good month for indie games. Some have been calling it one of the best times for indie games in years. That might be partially due to the fact that the mainstream AAA industry is imploding on a level not seen since the Atari crash of '83, but whatever. Let's not think about that right now, and instead think about Crow Country, because it's really cool and really good, and you should probably try it. Crow Country is a game that takes heavy inspiration from PS1 horror games, namely the old Resident Evil games and the original Silent Hill. And maybe there's just a little bit of Parasite Eve in there. Just a lot of that specific era of horror, but obviously with controls and presentation smoothed up and made more accessible for modern audiences. Well, the controls more so. It's a very approachable game that I think that people not even necessarily all that interested in horror could get a lot of enjoyment out of. I'd say it's scary. It's just not like edge of your seat, like nerve-wracking anxiety scary. It's more of a creeping, lurking dread, rich atmosphere kind of scary. You play as a woman by the name of Mara Forrest, and you, for reasons not immediately clear to the player at the start, you make your way to an abandoned amusement park in Georgia called Crow Country, and you begin to slowly unravel the strange goings-on at this park. Seemingly it was closed down 2 years ago for some reason, and you start coming across mysterious strangers, strange creatures, and you have to solve a bunch of Resident Evil-esque puzzles and explore this surprisingly vast, detailed, and creepy amusement park to get what you want from its owner, Edward Crow, and uncover its secrets. And, in case it wasn't clear by my affectation and everything already, I really like this game. I'm not really a huge Resident Evil guy, and I've only really played one Silent Hill, that being the PS1 original, because I didn't have a lot of PlayStation consoles most of my life, and even still now. I have a PS4, but I almost never use it. I disconnected myself from the PSN network because I got hacked 3 times and their security's awful, but I'm getting off topic. I played the Steam version, which, barring 1 or 2 small visual bugs here and there, which, again, were extremely rare, ran perfectly smoothly and fantastically on my laptop, and runs great with a controller. It's just a really immersive, fun little string of puzzles and intrigues that I think was assembled and presented in a really fun and intelligent way. Crow Country feels like it takes influences from a lot of things. I've said already, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Parasite Eve. But it has a lot of really good new ideas. It has safe rooms, similar to Resident Evil, but you can view tips and important memos you've picked up along the way in there so that you don't have to remember everything yourself. Though there are some pretty tricky puzzles at a certain point. Some of them are simple, probably because they're literally supposed to be puzzles for children in an amusement park, and then they get trickier and more clever and more complicated, and I really did enjoy a lot of these puzzles. I also really like the story. I don't want to spoil much, but it's a really smartly paced out, just tight little spooky narrative where when you get to the park, it's not clear what went wrong or what you're dealing with even for a long time, even once you've seen the creatures and monsters about. But you get this lurking feeling that they were messing with something they shouldn't have been, and it's a sort of hubris of man story. And I'm a big fan of those showing up late to the party, environmental storytelling kind of games. So that was the main thing that drove me to this game. That and its visual style. It looks very authentically, in most ways, like a PS1 or Resident Evil game from that time. Like a very blocky, chunky, pixelated looking PS1 style. Obviously more stylized, you can tell that it's not really an old game. It runs too well and all that, but it uses that visual style to its advantage, and like the horror is exacerbated by some of the less, like the lower clarity of objects. And it's nice to see that we've come back around to that era to use that in a practical and interesting way. Hopefully that gives you a decent impression of what I think of the game. There's a lot more I could say, honestly. This game is only about, well, it only took me about 7 hours to beat the whole thing. And that was with me going for a good amount of secrets and trying to find everything I could. And according to the game, I did find a lot, but not all. There's still stuff I can go back and replay to find more mystery to unravel. Not that I didn't feel satisfied by the conclusion. Again, not to spoil, but I think it wraps up in a really interesting and well thought out way. Just a nice, tight little story with memorable, cool little characters, lots of fun little moments, charm and personality, and it's spooky and intriguing and fun to play. I think Crow Country is one of the better games I've played this year, and if you like good atmosphere and a neat little story and just kind of like picking up a mystery along the way of solving fun puzzles and managing your survival horror inventory and keeping track of your ammo and shooting baddies and stuff, it's an accessible version of that sort of game with enough depth to not be patronizing or boring, and actually be kind of fun and see reasons to replay and even speedrun it, while at the same time actually being, immersive and scary and kind of thought-provoking. It's and still fun and light in some places. Just a really soulful game well worth your time. I give Crow Country a 9 out of 10. It's $20, I believe, on pretty much on all platforms, and I'd say it's a good price for this. Really good value for money, really tightly designed, just fun, cool little thing that you should go look at. I'd highly recommend Crow Country. It's a fun, spooky game, fun little mystery story, and I'm probably going to be playing it again pretty soon. I mean, like, straight away, I wanted to play it again, and was just running through, like, ooh, I know this now, doing all different puzzles differently. Some puzzles have multiple solutions, and there's ways to do things out of order. It's almost Metroidvania-esque. It's really cool, and you should check it out. I think I've said enough about it. It's really good. Go buy Crow Country. Now, since I don't really know how to end this, I am going to eat this peppermint stick that I found lying around my house. Probably been here since Christmas. It is June right now. But I'm going to eat this because it looks yummy. So, I bid you all farewell.
If you've been paying attention, it's because you're a nerd with nothing better to do.